Previously on Higurashi wa Cry Kai, Chapter 8. If his heart were to fail and he couldn't continue his research, I wouldn't hesitate to cut open my chest and offer my heart up for him. If he needs lungs, I'll give him my lungs. If any of his organs fail, I'll give him mine. There's nothing strange about those feelings. They're perfectly normal ones. For if he had found me even a day later, I might not have been alive. Or even if I lived, it would either be without my body intact, or if my mind lost to me. I want to succeed Hifumi's spirit. Since his name counts from 1 to 3, I want us to share that 3 and be the 4th in his line. Today, my name changes. I wrote that new name in the mirror. Mio Takano. What a wonderful name for the new me.
高野先生のご講説を賜りながら、先の資料を拝見させていただきました。まず申し上げて、脳内に潜伏したウイルスが人間の思想をコントロールするなど、全くもってありえないことです。人間の思考は極めて高度な神の芸術ともいえる脳で作られます。また思想というものは人間の思考の中でも非常に上位のものであり、現在の地球上においては人間にのみ許された高度な能力です。それに介在するウイルスがいるなど考えられませんよ。
They aren't even trying to hide their hostility. They're laughing at my grandfather, denouncing him, and saying things to denigrate not only his research, but his personality as well. They are simply trying to provoke him. Any response would just be giving them what they want. Even in this very moment, Grandfather tried to remain a noble researcher and a proud human being. He's no longer trembling. On the contrary, he apologized to them for taking up their time and told them he had no intention of keeping them any longer.
大丈夫。神様は見ておられる。そして自分が評価されることを疑ってはならんのだ。いつか必ずきっと評価されるから、その日まで努力を怠ってはならんのだ。
Grandfather says that all the time. But I know the truth. God only plays with people's fate. He doesn't save anyone out of goodwill. That's why he let this happen to my grandfather, even though he's worked so hard, so humbly until today. That's why he let such a horrible thing happen to me when I was still an innocent little girl.
私の絶対の意志が絶対の未来を紡ぎ出す。誰にも邪魔できない。誰にも覆せない。サイコロの1なんて認めない。けなげな努力が偶然の事故だけで打ち消されるなんて認めない。すべてのサイコロを6にしてやる。サイコロを神になんか委ねない。不運になんか委ねない。神に祈るのは自らに努力を尽くさぬ愚か者のすることである。私は神などに委ねない。すべての結果は私が紡ぎ出す。私の強固な意志が神にさえ介在できない絶対の未来を作り出す。
僕はようやく分かりましたのです。何度繰り返しても決して覆せぬこの運命はあなたの強固な意志の力ゆえ。
そうよ。強い意志は運命を強固にする。鋼のように鍛えられた運命はいかなるサイコロの目にも動じない。それはすなわち絶対の未来。
それを幾百年を生きる僕たちでなく人の身であるあなたが知ると認めますです。あなたは限りなく神に近い場所にいる。
それは
あなたの意志の強さに負けないのです。
古き神の座に執着するのも大いに結構。あなたの意志が私の意志に勝てるか試してみなさいな。神は人を試すが、人が神を試してはならない不条理。だからあえてあなたを試してあげるわ。お前の意志の強さが私の意志の強さに勝てるかどうかを試してごらんなさい。
And so it continues. Greetings, my name's Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Higurashi Winter Cry Kai Chapter 8. The stage is set. Now all we gotta see is whose will end up overcoming whose at the end of it all. Obviously, I'm betting on us. Let's get into it. Welcome. Welcome to the world of Higurashi, Chapter 8, Matsuri Bayashi. What's this? Some kind of foreword by the author? In this world, you'll be able to recreate the story from Hanyu's point of view. Your objective is to create the June 1983 ideal to you. You'll need to collect many different fragments to make that possible. However, Takano's conviction is very strong. To overturn it, you'll need a lot of effort and a lot of fragments. I'll warn you right now, it'll be a slow and painful process. Hanyu went through it for over 100 years, and she even had to stop and give in to fate. Defeating Takano's conviction will not be easy. The trial in this world will put you through as much pain as Hanyu had to endure. You may surrender, just like Hanyu did, after being emotionally worn down by the constant repetition of the worlds woven by countless fragments. When you feel like surrendering, you can end this game at any time. But if you do, the worlds revolving around your friends' fate will be limited to Onikakushi through Minagoroshi. By forgetting about this world and uninstalling this product, you will finally accept death. Just like Rika did. Your ideal June 1983 can be created by putting together 50 fragments that are scattered all over this world. To connect these fragments together, you will need the right ones. There are 50 of them, which may be dizzying. However, this world isn't that merciless. To ease your pain, there will be a little help for you. When you choose the wrong pieces, your only ally here will give you a sign that it's not yet time to put those fragments together. As long as the sign remains, you won't be able to connect them. You might as well go look for different ones. After you put other fragments together, you might be able to connect the ones you couldn't put together earlier. When that happens, she'll let you know. Let's put those fragments together. Then you'll be able to join the other ones too. When you connect all 50, they'll become one big fragment. There, you'll find your ideal June 1983. That's when the long-awaited Matsuri Bayashi will begin. Before you peek at each fragment, why don't you line up all 50 of them first? Most of them require other fragments, so there are only a few you can actually look at. Let's try to find those first. To see the conditions for connecting fragments, just point the cursor at them. Before anything else, let's find the ones you can look at without any conditions. This will be an extremely long and difficult trial. Let me tell you again, Hanyu challenged this for over 100 years and gave up on it. If you believe in miracles in the same way your friends do, even if you don't live in the world where they live, if you believe in them. Welcome. Welcome to the world of Higurashi Chapter 8, Matsuri Bayashi. In this world, you'll be tested to see if you believe in the world that Rika and the others believed in. A miracle only happens when everyone combines their strength. The June 1983 created by Takano is nearly indomitable. She's gathered many people whose powers are beyond the average person to her side, her backers being at the center of national authority. Even 100 dice all rolled ones, there wouldn't even be a chance to defeat her. In other words, a miracle is the only way forward. A miracle happens only when everyone combines their strength. And you are one of them. Are you ready? Ready as I'll ever be. I'm more than ready. The key to a long journey is not to pressure yourself too hard. Well, let's take it at a light pace. I'll work while drinking my usual wine. I think I would prefer you to stay sober during this. Shall we begin? We have all the time in this world. You have obtained new fragments. Interesting. Let's take a look at this. Oh, they look like they're of the old art style. C-103 dose experiment. Satoko Hojo's detailed test result is required. Kyosuke Irie's decision is required. So, Def Construction's second sacrifice. Okay. Live specimen, first sacrifice, second, third, fourth. A live specimen for research is required. A tragedy at the damn construction site is required. Let's take a look at all this. Dam construction operation withdrawal. This fragment is required first. Distress of a mother queen. Results of... Okay. So, C-103 is right here. Alright. Okay, I guess let's try this one. There we go. Guess I really should have tried clicking on this one first, in all due honesty.
今日はどういうわけか患者さんが多くて多くて。お疲れ様です、入江兄さん。
Tomotaki stood up suddenly and saluted when he saw Irie come into the room.
そのニサというのはどうかやめてください。私は医者です。どうもその軍隊的な階級には馴染めません。せめて所長でお願いします。了解しました、入江所長。
Tomotaki, of course, knew that Irie didn't like to be called Lieutenant Colonel, so it was something of a joke. They laughed casually together. On the other hand, Takano looked rather fed up with it. She couldn't stand hearing the same joke over and over, and was even thinking about talking to Tomotaki about it. But she didn't want to hurt his feelings, so she simply never had the chance. Maybe it's because of how Tomotaki pronounces it, but she keeps hearing Risa, Lieutenant Colonel in Japanese, Nisa. Once she heard it that way, she kept hearing Irie Risa every time Tomotaki said it. When Takano told Irie about it, he had a good laugh. Today was just a simple meet and greet, and tomorrow was the actual meeting. Tomotaki had already arrived, but there would be more inspectors from Tokyo at the meeting, waiting to hear about the progress that had been made.
それはそうと、ダムのことで村中が盛り上がってるみたいですね。
ええ、それはもう村中大変な騒ぎですよ。私も役員として自治体の地元説明会に参加してきたのですが、土星と馬星のそれはもう賑やかな説明会となりました。
After the basic Hinamizawa Dam project was announced, the village was consumed with uproar. The government retracted their plans for concessions rather early on. They made their aggressive stance clear. They didn't want the locals to take advantage of them by showing their willingness to compromise. However, that backfired horribly. As they had historical ties to the land, the governor's actions only made their bonds stronger. Neither the government nor the locals wanted to back down.
ひなみ沢の人は気性が激しいですものね。やっぱり鬼の血が流れてるからなのかしら。
笑い事じゃないですよ。あの説明会に夜中まで付き合わされた方の身にもなってみてください。
それはお気の毒でしたね。
いや、本当に笑い事ではないですよ。ダム計画はどうなってるんですか？本当にこの村はダム湖に沈められてしまうんですか？
それについては東京の方でも圧力をかけています。表向きは騒ぎになっていますが、実際の裏方ではかなり屋台骨がぐらついているはずです。
その圧力が早く効くといいんですがね。村は朝から晩まで賑やかで、村人の心もこのところすさんできたように思います。診察に来るお年寄りに捕まってたっぷりと反ダム論争を聞かされる時がありますよ。
付き合わなければいいのに。入江所長は人がいいから。
And you are too much... Yeah, never mind. I'm not even gonna go there right now.
そうもいきません。私は研究所の所長である以前に診療所の所長でもあります。話を聞くのもケアの一環ですので。
それはとても良いことです。感服いたします。
私は東京の皆さんがうまく圧力をかけてくれて、いずれはダム計画を撤回してくれるものと分かっているからいいですが、村人にとっては先祖代々から住んできた土地を追い出されかねないと本当にすごい騒ぎです。
立ち退けと言われても引っ越せるほどのお金もなく若さもなく、立ち退き保証金の額の釣り上げが狙いだったのかもしれないけど、こうなってしまったら穏便に決着というのは無理かもしれませんわね。
かつては保証金に納得して立ち退きに応じようという人たちも少しはいたんですが、御三家の園崎家が強硬意見で村人をリードしてましてね、国との対決姿勢を煽っているようなんです。街宣車みたいなのがよく騒がしくしてますし、ビラやらチラシやら機関紙やらが回覧板と一緒によく回ってきますよ。
ここに住む人にとっては大変な問題ですからね。気持ちはわからなくもありません。
そういう意味では思惑は多少違うかもしれませんが、そんな皆さんのためにもこのダム計画は早く撤回になるよう交渉を進めてほしいものです。撤回されればこの村もすぐに落ち着きのある元の村に戻るでしょうから。
もちろん分かってます。そ それについては東京の方で交渉を進めておりますので、もうしばらく私どもにお任せください。
東京の方で噂を聞いたんですけれど、建設省の方になかなかうまく圧力をかけられるコネクションがなくて苦労してるとか。
いや私ごときでは詳しくは知りませんが、水面下調整がうまくいっていないのではという話も少し聞きます。
Takano had powerful people supporting her, but they didn't control all of Japan. There were some things they excelled in, but also other things that they weren't too good at. Finding a way to put pressure onto the Minister of Construction fell into the latter.
冗談抜きでダムができますからここを立ち退いてくださいなんて話には本当にならないんですわよね。
もちろんです。それだけは絶対に問題ありません。時間がかかっているだけですので、皆さんはどうかそこは任せて研究を進めてください。穏便に済ませることができない場合は最終的な荒領事も辞さないことで意見はまとまっておりますので。
荒領事とは何ですか、富武さん。
そこは我々の領分です。入江所長は気にされなくて結構です。
I think that's the gravest expression I've ever seen on your face, Tomitaki.
どうかお任せください。
そうですか。わかりました。よろしくお願いいたします。
大丈夫ですわよ、入江所長。ダム計画は絶対に撤回されますわ。だってそう決まっているんですもの。
As Takano giggled, Tomitaki laughed too. However, Irie couldn't understand what was so funny, so he felt left out. Irie only understood the meaning of those drastic measures when he examined a young boy he had never seen in the village before. When he was kidnapped by the mountain dogs. Well, it only lasted roughly 13 minutes. This fragment I tried earlier bothers me. If I get to a point after going through all these other fragments to where I'll end up needing this one, well, I'll probably need to restart this whole thing here once I get to this point, will I? Because I made this thing crack. But I don't know for sure. This is just an assumption I'm making on my part, so for now I'm going to keep going I'm going to keep going as is, and if I run into any problems, I guess I can always just restart everything and then just work my way through again. So we got this thing, Queen Carrier, requesting assistance from a queen. Research needs to have stagnated. Instructions for the kidnap operation Mr.'s grandson are required. Well, I'm not sure if we've already technically seen that with this one. But let me look around a little more first. Oh, jeez. Blue couple. Bat to beat her to death is required. I guess we got our next one right here. And this one. So it looks to me like I should probably focus on just the ones that are about roughly the characters. And this one, whatever this explanatory meeting is. Okay, at least they're kind enough to give me the ones I need first, or at least tell me outright. So, let's go with Kyosuke Irie next. Group physical exams are very meaningful for our research. Although it's only for certain age groups, we can examine many of the Hinamizawa residents at the same time. It's a perfect cover for our research center. Also, because of several arrangements, we have a monopoly on the villagers' corpses and can perform autopsies on them too. There certainly wasn't an environment this rich in opportunity for those in the medical field. Our follow-up on the work of the late Dr. Takano is going smoothly. The amount of data he compiled is absolutely astounding. He truly was an incredible researcher. Shame he wasn't recognized as much.
所長。ああ、高野さん。お疲れ様です。
先ほど東京から残りの検査結果が郵送されてきました。こちらに置きますわね。
ありがとうございます。いよいよ面白くなってきましたね。
この面白さを共有できてとても嬉しいですわ。
Takano-san is my assistant, who was sent from the self-defense force. But she's far from the image I have of an SDF officer. Just like our research is being concealed, maybe her identity is concealed too. Well, you're not wrong about that assumption. I'm sure her name is an alias as well. I'm just a doctor and a researcher. Without Takano-san's support, it would be impossible for me to manage this institution. She's a pipeline to her clients in Tokyo, my assistant, as well as a researcher who's an expert on Hinamizawa syndrome. Her existence is absolutely necessary here. The more I think about it, the more I feel this should have been the Takano Institute rather than the Irie Institute, and she should have been the director. But that was explained to me when they had asked me to take this position. My client wanted a civilian to manage this place. They searched for a person who met the requirements, and there I was. I became the director. I have a feeling I'm just a puppet on their strings. But I won't just sit here and do nothing. I was asked to research a rare disease. I am a researcher, so of course I'm excited about that. My clients' goals might be different, but I'm here out of the desire to unravel the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome and be the first person to uncover a new mystery for mankind.
ひなみざわ症候群という寄生虫感染症がほぼ間違いなく存在するという浮かし彫りの情報はいくらでも集まるのに原因となる病原体が発見できないのはとても悔しいですね。
そうですわね。電子顕微鏡を使えばあっさりと見つかるだろうという期待も少しはしていたもので。
Viruses are too small to see with a regular microscope. So the invention of the electron microscope was a dramatic advancement in the world of medicine. However, it's very expensive, and there's no way for a normal doctor to acquire one. The late Dr. Takano said an electron microscope could find the cause of the disease, but it seems his theory has been proven wrong. Even Takano-san was hoping an electron microscope would find it. She was disappointed when she didn't uncover anything after the autopsy she performed. Our research seems to be having its first snag. It has actually stalled our work for several weeks now. So we need to think about where to go from here.
となると極小の極小なのかあるいは検体そのものに問題があるのかもしれません。
と申しますと
例えばですが野生のネズミの体に多数のノミが寄生していることはご存知と思います。ですがネズミの死体を調べたところでノミを見つけることはできません。宿主が死んだ時点で寄生虫であるノミの生活基盤も崩壊するからです。
宿主が死ねば寄生虫にとってそれは地球が滅んでしまうのと同じことというわけですわね。
I'm no expert on parasites, but to me, I think that should be given. I mean, a parasite exists to, well, be a parasite on whatever it is being parasitic towards. If the host dies, then, well, the parasite's kind of fucked.
そうです。滅びた後の地球を調べても人類を見つけることができないのと同じです。
Try telling that to anybody in Fallout.
ということは、滅ぶ前の地球を調べればよいという話になりますわね。
And this is where you decide to borrow somebody from the village, right? In order to have a live specimen to look at?
そうですね。ただ、滅ぶ前の地球には人権があります。生きているうちに調べることは難しいでしょう。
Examining a living human's brain. No matter how you sugarcoated it, that bore very grave meaning. From a medical standpoint, it's necessary. But we have rules and morals in this world, and we have to advance medicine within such boundaries. There was a time when I was studying lobotomies for the betterment of mankind. I don't think I was wrong. However, could I ever be forgiven under our ideas of ethics? I don't know. One day, my judgment will be handed down by the devil. Whether I'm guilty or not, I have to accept it. As I reflected upon my past, I heard a voice. It was Takano-san's. It was very clear and simple, yet it struck me with surprise.
わかりました。滅ぶ前の地球を用意させましょう。
I'm startled. Sometimes the phrase advancing medicine bore the whisper of the devil, tempting us to accept sacrifices. Hey, sacrifices. Is this when I start looking at the sacrifice fragments? I heard that devil whisper. Well, I have to check the other fragments I need first.
そんなに難しいことではありませんわ。南沢の住民ですでに重篤の状態で市内病院に入院しており、いつ死んでもおかしくない患者を探させるだけですもの。
しかし、いくら余命いくばくとはいえ、自らの体を生きているうちに検体に差し出される勇気のある方がいらっしゃるでしょうか。
そんな必要はありませんわ。いずれ亡くなる方にほんの少し早くお休みいただくというだけの話ですわ。書類上ね。
The patient would be legally declared dead, even though they're still alive. And we perform an autopsy while they're still alive.
無理でしょう。第一、頭蓋を切開するような大手術となれば絶対に痕跡は残ります。遺体を遺族の方が見られたら不審に。
そういうところを何とかできるのが私どもではありませんの。山犬に至急条件を満たす患者が存在しないか市内病院を調べさせます。
All you have to do is wait with a knife and a fork in your hands.
すぐに研究対象をお連れいたしますから。
Please don't make that joke. I'm not a zombie.
わかりました。
Neo Takano-sen is my partner. There's no question about that. But I just can't trust her. It's her extremities as a researcher which contrast largely with mine. But are we so different? I'm here simply waiting with a knife and a fork in my hands, just as she told me to. I just don't want to witness such a gruesome scene. That's all. What she's preparing for me now is exactly what I want. Who's the hypocrite? Not her. It's me. How can I say that I'm different, knowing what I've done in the past? I performed lobotomies without the patient's consent, despite it being surgery that might affect their life forever. How is that different from what she's doing? Well, I guess you could argue intentions, considering that she doesn't really have any good intentions to speak of, whereas you do, but I don't know if that would actually mean much to you. I mean, I've never doubted my past achievements. However, when I look at her, I start to feel unease. Takano-san is talking to Okanogi-san on the intercom in my office. I'm sure she's telling him to come over so she can explain to him what was just discussed. I'm simply watching without stopping her. I begin to reflect upon my past, to remember why I chose to become a doctor. Fragment number 2 down. And here we are with Jiro Tomitake. The forecast said there was a chance of rain in the evening, but I didn't think it would rain so hard. We decided to wait at an abandoned bus stop for the rain clouds to clear. Where have I seen this scenario play out before?
ごめんよ、高野さん。
あら、いいのよ、気にしないで、次郎さん。私も土砂降りになるかもしれないことを覚悟の上で出かけたんだから。
Takano-san giggled. Although she said the weather might change suddenly, I dragged her out here. I feel stupid for making her come along and end up ruining her precious day off. I have to go back to Tokyo tonight, so it'll be a while before I can return to Hinamizawa. I didn't want to spend my last day at a cheap hotel in Okinomiya, so I asked her to go for a stroll.
いや、本当に申し訳ない。
She teased me for a while, but only a little. She wasn't actually enjoying driving me into a corner. I beg to differ. That's just her way of communicating, and I find it very charming. I think I've become captivated by her. Biggest mistake of your life. But on her part, I'm just an auditor from Tokyo. That's why she's being nice to me. And it's definitely not because she likes me personally. So I feel like I might have used my position to drag her out here, and that makes me a little depressed. I probably should think this slight fever I have is due to nothing more than a cold. But she was the type of person who made it clear when she disliked something. She wouldn't say so directly, but she would use all kinds of indirect expressions that meant the same thing. So I want to believe she's out here because she might be even a little bit attracted to me. I shook my head as I frowned upon my selfish thoughts. She chuckled as though she knew what I was thinking. I felt myself starting to go red after that.
次郎さんも不思議な人ね。東京ではさぞや女性にモテるでしょうに。なぜわざわざ私みたいなおかしな女に付き合ってくださるのかしら。
おかしななんてことはないよ。高野さんは十分魅力的だよ。むしろ僕みたいな男のために貴重な休日を割いてもらったのが申し訳ないくらいだよ。
確かに私はとても大切な研究のために生涯を捧げたつもりだけど、それだけじゃ。 人生は潤いがないもの。たまには頭を切り替えて遊ぶことも大事だし、それに異性とのコミュニケーションは脳の活性にもとてもいいんだから。
僕ごときで高野さんの頭の気分転換のお役に立ててるならいいんだけどね。
あなたは私と一緒にいても気分転換にはならない。
She gives me an impish smile that makes my heart skip a beat. I tried hiding my embarrassment so she wouldn't notice even my ears going red.
そんなことないよ。僕も高野さんと一緒に過ごせると、こう、いろいろと気分転換になるよ。それにほら、高野さんに野鳥撮影のことを布教すれば、僕も撮影の同志を得られるわけだしね。もしよかったら、次に来るときは僕の古いカメラを持ってくるよ。買うと高いからね。
ありがとう。あなたを虜にする野鳥撮影がどれくらい楽しいのかぜひ教えていただけると嬉しいわ。ぜひ次の機会には野鳥撮影の散策にご一緒したいわね。
What is
じゃ
the...
あ私自分では買わなくていいのかしら。
Does your job not pay well for a good camera?
うん。僕のフルで少し挑戦してみて、馴染めそうだったら新しいカメラを買う方がいいんじゃないかな。
ありがとう。次に来てくださるときはぜひ私の写真の批評をお願いするわね。
どんな写真か楽しみだな。
きっと二郎さんみたいにはいかないわ。本当に初めてですもの。
While she keeps her cool and smiles, all I can do is blush and scratch my head. Am I being conceited? I will not answer you on that one. I can't help but think that Takano-san likes being with me. If it's mere flattery, I don't think she'd come along this far. You'd be very impressed just how far she's willing to go to get what she wants. Everyone would. Oh, no. Taking women's flattery seriously is a mistake I always make. I shouldn't assume that she's attracted to me.
そういえばこうして二郎さんと二人きりでゆっくりおしゃべりをするのは初めてね。
そうだね。いつも所長とか他の研究員の人とかがいたりするからね。
私あなたのことを全然知らないの。あなたが東京でどんな仕事をしているかとか、今までどんなことをしてきたのかとか、自衛隊ではどんな活躍をされているのかしら。
昔ちょっとだけ教官の真似事をしてたけどね。怪我をした時に目をやっちゃってね。普段の生活には支障はないんだけど、大ごとに受け取られちゃって、それ以来は事務屋の仕事ばかりやらされてるんだよ。
Takano-san giggles. Say I must have done something silly to cause the injury.
それでね、体内の広報誌を作る仕事を手伝った時に、イベントの写真撮影で初めてカメラの魅力を知ったんだよ。カメラには人を幸せにする力があるのさ。何を言ってるんだろうって思ってるだろうけど、いやこれは本当なのさ。僕はカメラに触れるようになってから日々に幸せを感じるようになったと思ってるよ。
カメラでどうして幸せになれるのかし
ら。カメラというのは日々の生活を切り取って写真にして残すものなんだ。残すくらいなんだから幸せなものを写したいというのは当然だろう。じゃあ幸せなものはどこにあるんだろうとファインダー越しに自分の周りの世界を覗いてみると、そこには今まで当たり前だと思っていたものが実はとても幸せなものだったんだと気づくことでいっぱいなんだ。例えば路肩のアスファルトの隙間からけなげに生えている一輪のタンポポだって忙しく通り過ぎる時にはただの雑草に過ぎないけれど、ファインダー越しに覗いた時 それは春の訪れを教えてくれる季節からの素敵な贈り物であったことに気づけるんだよ。それを写真に収めアルバムに残す。そしてアルバムを再び開くたびにその時の幸せな気持ちが蘇ってくるんだ。
二郎さんは風景や野鳥の撮影をしながらそんな気持ちに浸っているの？
その写真が芸術的かどうかとか賞を取れるような劇的瞬間かどうかなんていう野心的なことは僕にとってあまり重要じゃないんだよ。僕たちが気づかない小さな幸せに気づかせてくれる。そこにこそカメラの魅力があるんだと思ってるんだ。だからそんな気持ちでこのひなみ沢をファインダーで覗けることはとても楽しくて幸せなことなんだよ。
So I'm really glad to be able to see Hinamizawa through my viewfinder. I have a tendency to go overboard when I talk, but most of the time, Takano-san playfully twists my words right back at me. So it's very unusual for her to listen to me like this. Takano-san sat down next to me and tried to fiddle with my camera. I don't know how much of an impression I made, but I think she is indeed interested in cameras. I was expecting her to tease me like usual, so I'm happy to see that this is her reaction.
ちょっと試してみるかい？
私にもできるかしら？
簡単だよ。最初はピントの合わせ方とシャッターの押し方だけ覚えれば十分さ。持ってごらん。ああ、レンズには絶対に触れちゃダメだよ。
ブー、簡単じゃないじゃない。
Since she seemed to show an interest in cameras, I wanted to take a walk around Hinamizawa and take some pictures of the scenery. But unfortunately, the rain doesn't seem to want to stop. But she was still having fun and kept taking pictures inside the bus stop. So the first set of pictures she ever took were of odd things in that dark little building. Since then, every time we'd meet, we ended up walking around the village with our cameras in our hands. I guess I really can't deny. I mean, she kind of admitted it as much towards the beginning, the later half of chapter 7 anyway. She honestly probably did like Tomitaki to some extent here, but well, that didn't really stop her from killing him, did it? I just feel bad for this poor guy, considering what happens to him. Now, what do we have next? A local explanatory meeting.
でしてダムの建設事業に伴う地域振興や地域産業の育成などですね。
そんなことは聞いてねえっつってんだろ。俺らの誰の断りがあってダムなんか作ろうって言い出したかって聞いてんだ。
おう、わしらから税金絞るだけ絞っといてそれに対する返事がこれっちゅうんか。あんどりゃ誰の税金で給料もらったんじゃ。
ですから先ほどから申し上げておりますように、
言い訳など聞いちゃならんねえ。いつ計画を中止するんか聞いとるんじゃい。お前じゃ話にならん。東京の建設大臣を連れてこい。ここではっきり白黒つけちゃう。
突っ込まんか、こっぱ役人が。
大体踊れら人様の税金で仕事しとってなんでわしらより高い段で話をしとるんじゃ。目線で話さんかい、目線で。The auditorium is filled with angry shouting. Doesn't look like an auditorium to me. The sign at the entrance says, Hinamizawa Dam Construction Explanatory Meeting. Every time the official on the stage tried to say anything, the citizens packed into the room silenced him with their shouts. Trying to ignore them, the official continued to explain the pros of the dam, but that just further infuriated them. Between the stage and the citizens, there was an open area where a police squad is standing by.
If they weren't there, the citizens would jump onto the stage and start a riot. I'm watching all this from the back of the auditorium. Hello, Hanyu. It's obvious to anyone that we're being swallowed by their anger. Whoops, that they're being swallowed by their anger. They become filled with bloody red rage. The anger that came from a certain purpose becomes a purpose in itself and creates a vicious cycle, where anger leads to more anger. Anger is a necessary emotion for humans. People face many difficulties in their lives. Anger gives them the motivation to fight and conquer such difficulties. Therefore, anger is an essential part of life itself. So I will never reject anger itself. However, anger like this, that goes far beyond normal, makes people forget their purpose. That is no longer an essential part of life. As the blood rushes to their head, a person can't even remember what they've done. They go out of control. Such emotions are very painful, sad, and difficult to endure. I can clearly see the villagers who live alongside us turning into demons. I understand the rules of the human world. The power of an individual can't be compared to the power of the government. To be able to fight, an individual needs to become part of a larger, unified power. But to steer that unified power in the right direction is extremely difficult. The cycle of anger leads to more anger. Not anger that helps you live, but anger that exists only for anger. It's just like being a demon. And this emotion is capable of violently rousing us from our long, peaceful slumber. Everyone is immersed in their own anger. We lived peacefully with the villagers while we slept quietly. Yet now we've awakened, and it's like the world is trying to return to that age when demons were said to rise from the Onigufuchi swamp. I keep shouting at everyone to get them to calm down. But my voice can't reach them because of the vicious cycle of anger. Even so, I'll continue shouting, hoping even one of them will hear my voice. Because if I don't do anything, the demons may awaken. The demons that went into a deep sleep may reawaken because of this commotion. Then, all of a sudden, the atmosphere changed. Looking up, I saw that the angry exchange between villagers and those on the podium had devolved into confrontation between the villagers themselves. What's going on? Oh, hello? Sounds just like Tepe.
おお、北条のなあ、まぬかしよった。ようも村を沈めちゃる言えるの。お前、なんぼで村を撃った。たまらんか、死に損ないが。いいんか。南沢には貧乏にも大勢おるん。お前んとこみたいに山に畑をうなるほど持ってる地主とわけが違う。ああ、わしゃあの国の保証金で十分満足しとった。町の公営住宅も手配してくれるっちゅうし、なんも不足はなかった。ああ、それをオンドレらが全部ちゃぶ台ひっくり返しちゃった。踊れら地主の都合で人まで巻き込むなや。そんなに国と喧嘩せんかったら踊れが一人でやれ。したらん銭は誰が払うんね。踊れかいな。うちはな、貧乏だし育ち盛りが二人もおるん。
おとなしゅう国から銭をもろうて職を斡旋してもろうて人生再設計ちゅうとこなんや。それを踊れはなんじゃ。いつからお前はわしの代表になったんじゃ。お前そんなに偉いんか。ああ、
おうおうおう、北条のようも抜かしたこの裏切り者が。なら村から出てけ出てけ。
おう、出ていったらもちろんそれに見合う銭はお前が払うんじゃろうな。わしが国からもらい損ねた銭きっちり都合つけてくれるんじゃろうな。村から出とうとも銭がないんじゃ。踊りが払うんならすぐにでも出たったろわ。
北条の言う通りだ。立ち退いてもいいと思ってる住民もいるんだぞ。御三家は俺たちを巻き込むな。
おうおう、なんじゃ今抜かしたのは誰じゃ。名乗らんかボケ。
残りたいやつは勝手に残ればいいだろうが。立ち退きも権利じゃ。勝手に人様の権利に干渉すんな、このダラツが。そうじゃそうじゃ。その先のクソババアはすっこんだね。
ああ、もちろんダム計画に同意してくださる方には見合う保証を用意いたしております。決して土地の搾取ではありませんので。
黙れ役人ボケ。おんどりゃ村真っ二つに策を魂胆かい。死ねや北条。村の空気を吸う資格はねえ。今すぐ息止めて死ね。
なめんなボケが。ぶっ殺したら前に出るクソババ。おいおいおい、引っ込まんかいデカボリ。
よう抜かした。よう抜かした北条のこの園崎おりょう。久々に頭血のぼってきよったわ。
Fight! 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 Fight!
きっちりけじめ取らしてもらうかんな。繁盛楽しみに待っとれや。
北条、やれやれ。国は俺たちに仕事と住みかと金を与えろ。
こらこら、やめなさい暴力は。お互いやめてやめて。
すったら上等じゃ。恩師が出てこんかいな。
Everyone is being tainted with the bloody red anger, and I can only watch. The least I can do is to apologize for the tragedy that is about to happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so I think we can use this for repeated apologies. This is how things started. From this day onward, the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family will wage a feud against each other, and the Hojo family will become ostracized within the village. This marks the beginning of Satoko and Satoshi's lives of tremendous hardship. Well, with a public shouting match like that, I could definitely understand why both sides held a lot of resentment towards each other. So, Satoshi Hojo. When I asked Rika-chan, she said Satoko might have possibly gone up to the mountain behind the shrine. She's fond of going there. That mountain is covered in with trees, vines, and fallen logs, and she really likes the area. Any child would dream of having a secret base. And to Satoko, her secret base is the whole mountain. However, the mountains were undeveloped territory, making them a dangerous place that was easy to get lost in. As her brother, I'm a little concerned that she spends so much time on it. But maybe I should worry more about myself getting lost, since I rarely come here. The mountain gets dark quickly when evening falls. If I still can't find her, I should look for her somewhere else.
Satoko! Satoko!
I'm yelling as loud as I can, but in the woods, my voice doesn't carry that well. According to Rika-chan, she's been making her secret base in this area. She goes up there alone to expand it. What does she mean by expand it? Lay more traps would be my guess. If it's a secret base, she must not want anyone to find it. Does that mean she set up some traps? Considering that, I should have noticed the traps on the mountain before one got me. Oh, you poor bastard. Suddenly, my foot sunk into the ground and snagged on something like a jump rope tied beneath dried leaves. I heard some noise from up above, and then a big ball made of branches fell right next to me. It had to be one of the playful traps Satoko loved. If I wasn't so lucky, I'm sure the ball would have hit my head. Hello, Satoko.
どなたが現れたかと思えば、ニーニーではありませんの。
Not even Nini is safe from the trap master.
サトコ、ダメだよこんな遊びは。危ないじゃないか。
この先は危険だから入ってはいけないってエリン種の看板がちゃんとあったはずでございましたよ。それを無視する方には素敵なトラップの大歓迎がお待ちしておりましたよ。
As her brother, I should stop her from doing things like this. But when I see her brilliant smile, I can't say anything else. I haven't seen that smile in some time.
それよりサトコ、今日は家族みんなで食事に出かけるから、夕方までには家に戻りなさいって言われてたじゃないか。
別に私、お食事なんか行きたくありませんわ。お母さんとお父さんが2人で行けばいいんじゃありませんの。行きたければニーニーも一緒に3人で行けばいいんですわ。
まだお父さんのこと怒ってるのかい？
He threw an ashtray at me.
違うだろう。
No, it happened with our previous father. Our current one hasn't done that. He locked me out in the veranda. He didn't feed me lunch. He complained I got him the wrong brand of cigarettes. Then he slapped my face saying I shouldn't be a picky eater.
それから。
She isn't talking about our current stepfather. Things about all of our different stepfathers had mixed themselves up in her head. Every time our mother remarried, we had to call a different man our father. The word father isn't a word that should be taken lightly. If you don't truly acknowledge a man as your father, how can you call him that? That's how much weight it carries. However, just to make things smooth and peaceful, I used the word father even if I didn't want to. But it was too difficult for Satoko, young as she was, to do the same. Ever since Satoko was very little, she's been having troubles with all our stepfathers. She's never opened up to her current one. To Satoko, a father figure is no longer someone she can trust. It's true that our current stepfather doesn't have any experience being a parent, so he sometimes gets rather upset with her. But ever since the incident where Satoko called the child abuse hotline, our stepfather regretted his mistakes and tried his best to communicate with her. Even my mother realized how much Satoko has suffered emotionally when it was pointed out by the social worker. She's doing her part in trying to bring Satoko back into the family. But Satoko completely refuses to even try. It's understandable, though. Her childhood has been filled with misery. Satoko can only open up to me. That's why I have to be the one and only family member she can trust. Otherwise, she'll be all alone in this world. But a brother and a sister alone can't be considered a family. Even if we don't get along now, if we continue to communicate, even in a small way, we may be able to become a real family someday.
サトコ、今のお父さんはだんだん優しくなってきたよ。サトコと仲直りしたいっていつも言ってる。
そんなの聞いたことありませんわ。
お父さんがそれを言おうとするとサトコが逃げちゃうからだよ。お父さんももっとサトコと話をしたがってる。もうかぼちゃを無理やり食べさせたりはしないって言ってたよ。
嘘ですわ。かぼちゃを食べるまでは食卓から出て行っちゃダメって何度も注意されましたわ。
Again, she isn't talking about her current stepfather. Which one tied you to the chair? I'll tie him upside down over a toilet.
サトコ、とにかくニーニーと一緒に家に帰ろう。せっかくお母さんが福引きで当てたお食事券が無駄になっちゃうよ。予約制だから今日行かないと無効になっちゃう。
ニーニーだけで行けばいいんですわ。私は一人でお留守番してるのが好きなんですの。
Satoko usually doesn't stay out playing this late. She knows we're going out, and that's why she's out here alone. Although I want to snap at Satoko, I controlled myself. Because she only has me. I can't scare her.
とにかくサトコ、帰ろう。食事に一緒に行くかどうかは帰ってから決めてもいいんじゃないかな。それにサトコに案内してもらわないと僕家に帰れない。
ニーニー、あれだけ何度も一緒に連れてってあげましたのにまだここが覚えられませんの？まったくしょうがないニーニーですわね。
Satoko holds out her hand. She often says she's embarrassed to hold my hand in front of people, but she's holding out her hand right now. I took that hand. Satoko's fragile hand. I have to protect her, as her big brother.
帰ろう、サトコ。
ええ。
That's alright. I was totally looking for a reason to feel depressed anyway. So what's next? Steps in the fourth year. Now here we are. Satoko Hojo. My name is Satoko Hojo, but Hojo is my current father's family name. I was also Satoko Hadake, Satoko Yoshizawa, and also Satoko Matsura because of my previous fathers. I'm still not used to being called Hojo-san. If someone calls me Satoko, then I know that person is talking to me. Because Satoko is the name I've been using since I was born. I don't understand why my mother keeps getting married and divorced. If she's going to get a divorce, why does she get married? If she's married, why does she get a divorce? I've asked her before, but depending on the situation, her answers were different. When I asked her when she was married, she got angry. When I asked her after she got divorced, she cried. I don't understand the meaning of marriage, so I have no interest in drawing pictures of a bride in a wedding dress. I don't think I'll ever get married. I don't want to keep changing my child's last name. My teacher once asked me if I liked my mother. I think when I was in kindergarten in Okinomiya. That was a very difficult question. Because sometimes I loved her very much, and sometimes I hated her very much. I couldn't decide. When my mother was nice, she smiled all the time. She made us happy. She thanked me for being her daughter. When my mother wasn't nice, she frowned all the time. She treated my brother and me very poorly. She told me I should have never been born. What a fucking horrible thing to say to your child. My teacher asked me if I liked my father. That was a very easy question. Because I always hated him very much, no matter who he was. The new fathers always treated me nicely at first, as if I was their real daughter. They always told me I could think of them as my real father. But they couldn't be my real father. Besides, I didn't even know my real father's face. How could I call them my father? I couldn't. That was disgusting. Right before divorce, my fathers always became very irritated with me. They treated me like a cockroach. They told me they didn't have money to feed me, they threw things at me, and they locked me out in the veranda. I was told I could forget about them because that was all in the past. I think that was a different teacher from a different school. Maybe that's true. Because ever since Hojo became my father, my mother has been smiling. I haven't seen them get into a fight, as I've seen happen just before a divorce. They have little arguments here and there, but those don't lead to a divorce, and they always make up. But I'm sure they'll get a divorce, sooner or later. Then it'll be the same old stuff with the family court, divorce settlements, a night flight, and child support. So who knows how long this Hojo will be my father. That's why I don't even feel like calling him that. He also treated me well at first. But when I didn't call him father even after he asked me repeatedly, he became irritated. They'll get a divorce soon. When my father gets into this mood, a divorce is on the way. After a divorce, it's my mother's turn to be irritated with me. Then she'll tell me she shouldn't have had me, or she can't be happy because of me. Why is my existence causing problems for my mother? I asked my brother, and he told me, if you have children, it's not easy to find someone to get married with. To my mother, remarriage is a very important job, so I can understand having children around will cause problems. I think I finally understand the reason why I'm a nuisance to her. I asked my brother something else. Why are children hated by new fathers? Well, that's simple. That's because family members all have different roles. A mother's job is to love her children. A father's job is to love the mother. That means I'm a nuisance to both my mother and my father. Did the text just change color just now? My brother is more mature than me, so they don't look down on him as a nuisance. But maybe I am. No, I am definitely a nuisance. So now I know. Both my mother and father want me dead. But if they kill me, they'll be caught. But that doesn't mean they won't kill me. Yeah, it's turning red. If I were to look down the cliff, and if no one was around, my mother and father would push me off for Oh my god. If this is happening right when they were visiting that cliff, Did you push them off the cliff, Satoko? My father has become abnormally nice to me recently. He started to act that way ever since I made the fake call. I know for sure it's just a part of the plot to kill me. So I won't let them trick me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Lately, when I listen very carefully, I can hear a voice apologizing. The voice sounds familiar to mine. Her mother must be telling her that she shouldn't have been born. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But I won't apologize like that. I'll live. I'm going to strike back. I'll kill before I get killed. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Holy shit. I'm also now just remembering something. That one moment where Rika tried to tell Satoko not to remember something unpleasant, right when she was going through a really bad case of Hinamizawa syndrome because of what Teppei was doing to her. Was that what Rika was referring to? For Satoko to try not to remember? Because that would then mean that she knows what happened to Satoko's parents. Holy fucking shit. This also means that Satoko was basically, in a way, directly and indirectly, and I say indirectly in the sense to where, well, she was sick, so she wasn't exactly in control of her, in her right state of mind, but anyway, no matter how you look at it, that would then mean that Satoko is ultimately the one responsible for both herself and Satoshi winding up with Teppei and his wife, and everything that followed after. Fuck me, man. This girl can't catch a break. Okay, so Rika Furude. A conflict between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family is required. Well, I think we already witnessed that, so I could probably click this and not have anything bad happen. Game board must be set up. Okay, so I guess this is one of the last ones I got messed with. So this one, the game board must be set up. Okay, fragment of Kikushi. Okay, so let's try Rika Furude. Okay, there we go. I ran into Satoko while on my way to the grocery store from my mother. Satoko said she was going there too, so we decided to go together. After exchanging our shopping lists, it became easy to guess what the other family would be having for dinner. Satoko's family is having grilled fish and cooked vegetables. We're having Salisbury steak.
あら、ハンバーグとは羨ましいですわね。私、魚はともかく煮物というのがちょっと怖いんですのよ。先日買ったかぼちゃがまだだいぶ残ってるみたいなんですもの。きっと今夜もかぼちゃの煮物三昧なのです。かわいそなのです。あらかじめかぼちゃが出てくると分かっているのも憂鬱でございますわね。
Pumpkin isn't that bad, though.
はあ、突然かぼちゃを出されても怒るくせに贅沢なさとこなのです。リカにだって少しは嫌いな食べ物があるはずですわよ。そういえばリカ、大福とかシュークリームとか甘いものが嫌いだったんではございませんこと？
And unfortunately for her, Hanyu likes sweet stuff, so that basically means she has to subject herself to stuff she hates for Hanyu's benefit. Aren't you lucky to have such a wonderful friend, Hanyu?
別に嫌いではないのです。意地悪で食べないだけなのですよ。食べる気なら何個でも食べられちゃいますのです。パンプキンパイだって美味しくいただけますのですよ。ピパーン。リカだけ好き嫌いがないなんてずるいですわ。
You know, it's very easy to not be a picky eater, Satoko. Just stop being picky and just stuff it down your gullet. I know, easier said than done. I mean, like a lot of our children growing up, I was a picky eater too. But you know, once I got past those psychological barriers, a whole lot of new cuisine choices opened themselves up to me, and I've never regretted it ever since. Conversations like this are how I have fun. Satoko is my best friend. I usually don't like grocery shopping, but if I'm with Satoko, I can make it into an enjoyable evening stroll. Near the supermarket, there's a grocer's and other shops, forming a little shopping district. The grocery store is busy this time of day. All the housewives in Hinamizawa gather here to shop. Since Satoko and I have different things to buy, we decide to do our shopping separately.
いらっしゃいいらっしゃい。おや、リカちゃま、いらっしゃい。お買い物かい？偉いね。
ニパー、僕はお買い物ができる偉い子なのです。
そうかそうか、リカちゃまは偉いな。ほら、偉い子のご褒美にこれをあげよう。
There were several candies for the owner's occasional asthma attack inside a sieve? I have no idea how to say that word, full of change hanging in the front. He picked out a sweet from there and gave it to me. A sieve, let's go with that. It was my favorite flavor, strawberry milk. I put it in my pocket so I can brag about it to Satoko later. I get a lot of fun now teasing Satoko and making her jealous. She always overreacts, so I never get bored when I'm with her.
Oh yeah? Rika-chama no tokoro wa kyou wa nandai?
Going by the decidedly more cheerful and childlike tone of her inner dialogue, would I be correct in assuming that this is all taking place right before the loops started for her?
豚のひき肉だと、
ハンバーグなのですよ。お花の形の目玉焼きを乗っけてケチャップでお絵かきをするのです。
おははは、それはいいね。
I enjoyed that conversation while filling my shopping basket. But then I overheard some women whispering. They're talking about something that's a little harsh. They're talking about Satoko. I had a feeling someone like this would be brought up. How long do those village traders plan to stay here? They should just leave. They don't even have the guts to go shopping themselves and make their daughter do it instead. The women went on and on. Ever since the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family got into a huge fight at the explanatory meeting for the dam project, the Hojo family has been ostracized within the village. At first, there was a significant number of families in favor of leaving like the Hojos. But the main branch of the Sonozakis led a push to completely solidify the village's opinion. And as that tone of unified resistance grew stronger, the pro-evacuation families steadily grew quiet. The public harassment led by the Sonozakis and the Kimiyoshis, 2 of the 3 families with powerful influence on the village, also played an effect too. The Sonozaki family made the Hojo family into an example to ensure there would be no more pro-evacuation supporters. The ancestors of the villagers have lived here for generations, And the villagers also know that they themselves will be buried in this village, so this harassment put a lot of pressure on them. Who was it that agreed to make the Hojo family the leader of the pro-evacuation group at the explanatory meeting? Those same people no longer said anything, and they even joined in on harassing the Hojo family. Cowards. The harassment they faced then became pressure from the entire village. The Hojo family is hardly wealthy, and they haven't paid the town council fees in a long time. When things were peaceful, nobody said anything about it. But now that the wind was blowing in a different way, the Hojo family was asked to pay off all of their late council fees immediately. And it wasn't an amount they couldn't afford, but the Hojos recognized a fight was being picked with them, and they responded to it. And so the Hojo family quit the town council. But that only played right into the village's evil plan. Making an enemy of the town council meant facing vicious harassment. For example, the place the Hojos dumped their trash was a provisional dumping site established by town council and the waste management department. Under the council agreement, only council members could use it. Ever since the day the Hojo family quit the village council, their trash bags were returned to their front door. Furthermore, all the bags were torn. On top of that, a sign went up on the hedgerow near the Hojo family. It said, "Private road, no trespassing. Only council members permitted." A stubborn old man stood and guarded the road, saying that he would not let any of the Hojo family members pass through. A private road is private property opened up to the public, so it looks just like a normal road. However, as private property, the owner can forbid anyone else to pass through whenever they like. More and more, the village piled on vicious harassment. The fear of antagonism spread through the entire village, and people became afraid that if they supported the Hojo family, they'd go through the same thing. This made the Hojo family even more isolated. The grown-ups haven't told their kids about what's going on, so Satoko isn't harassed in any way at school. But it wasn't hard to imagine she probably spent her days feeling so anxious she could hardly breathe. Even the women whispering in here aren't saying anything directly to Satoko. But it's not like she doesn't notice their muttering and the cold stares. When did this village become so cold towards her? As her best friend, it's very sad for me. Satoko's shopping experience is nothing like mine. When I say hello or buy things, I usually get treats or a discount. But that doesn't happen to Satoko. On the contrary, she's served last on purpose, and sometimes shop owners even pretend they don't hear her. Obviously, people don't want to have anything to do with her. Satoko had been weaving through the housewives crowding the shop, telling the fishmonger what she wanted, but she kept getting ignored. She decided to keep her smile and pretend she doesn't mind. But I know. It was far too painful for her to endure. At that point, Satoko dropped her coins on the ground. Maybe her finger got stuck on something when she was trying to put the change back into her wallet. I ran through the crowd to help her pick them up. But as I did, I noticed something. Satoko dropped a lot of coins and is struggling to pick all of them up, but nobody is helping her. It's not just that. It's almost like they're acting like they don't even see her there. Satoko isn't expecting anyone to help her, since she's the one who dropped them. But there are so many people around, and not even one is trying to aid her.
サトコ、僕も拾いますですよ。大丈夫 夫ですわよ、リカ。
That reaction is all I needed to tell how hurt she is. Furthermore, when I started to help Satoko, other housewives started to pick up the coins too. It's as if it's the natural thing to do. So they can only help if a shrine maiden of the Fruit family does? If I didn't help, they would have disregarded her completely. And the fact that the other people helped only because I did hurt Satoko even more. I grabbed the coins from the housewives without thanking them. I'd rather spit at them than do that.
ありがとうございますわ、リカ。皆さん。
If she didn't thank them, people would talk about that too. Satoko forced out her words of gratitude. The housewives looked down at her with blank expressions. I can't stand this. I can't stand what Satoko is going through right now.
お買い物が終わりましたら行きましょうです、サトコ。ええ。
I grabbed Satoko's arm and pulled her away. I was frustrated, sad, and bitter. What has Satoko done? Reality is just too cruel. Everyone loves me. But can I share that love with Satoko? Satoko must be wondering why people treat me so differently. I shouldn't come shopping with her. Or rather, I should have done her shopping instead.
サトコ。なんですの、リカ。風にをばらまいてしまってかわいそうなのです。なのでこれはサトコへの残念賞なのですよ。
I wanted to at least ease her pain a little bit. So I pulled out the strawberry milk candy I just received. But Satoko refused to take it.
その飴はリカがもらったものではありませんの。
My hand froze. She saw me getting this candy.
渡した人だってリカに食べてほしいと思って渡したんですわ。だから私が食べたら失礼ですわよ。
Nowhere near as rude as how everyone else is treating you. Satoko turned her back on me and kept walking. Without even saying goodbye, she continued on to her house with the shopping bags in her hands. I only wanted to ease her pain, but I ended up rubbing salt in her wound. How can I call myself her best friend? If I could, I would have crushed the candy right there. I wonder where my general state of emotions are going to be by the time I finish going through all these fragments. Probably a mixture of both depression, intrigue, anger, and God knows what else. Strawberry milk candy is required, so I guess we can move on to this one, right? Mion-san! Your friend is here. I heard the housekeeper's voice. Our house and the front yard are huge, so unlike normal houses, ringing a doorbell or yelling my name repeatedly, asking to play won't work.
はいはい、ありがとうございます。どなたです？
Rika Furuchama.
来たね来たね。ばっちゃんにリカちゃまが来たって伝えてもらえます？多分あっちの縁側にいると思います。私はスイカを引き上げてきますね。
Granny received many beautiful watermelons from somebody, so she wanted to share. I just called the fruit house a short time ago. Rika-chan's here to pick one up. she come on her bicycle? I can't remember if it has a big enough basket. I put the watermelon from the well. Pulled the watermelon from the well while thinking about that. The cold water in the well has refrigerated the watermelon, and the condensation makes it look delicious. Well, I never thought about using a well to refrigerate anything before. The 3 members of the fruit family will enjoy it for at least 2 nights.
みお持ち帰りだったのですか。僕はてっきり。
あれ？おじさんそう言わなかったっけ？
The priest answered the phone, and I thought I told him to come pick it up. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, or maybe he misunderstood me completely. But she's here to eat the watermelon, not take it home. Besides, the small basket on Rika-chan's bicycle won't hold the watermelon, and it's too dangerous for her to ride while holding it in her hands.
ミオン、お前リカちゃまんちまで超持ってたらな。スイカ片手んな自転車なんこがれんて。
みー、僕だってスイカくらい持てますのですよ。
危な。リカちゃまに何かあったらお社様に申し訳立てんね。うちのミオンが運ぶんね。任せたったら。
Funny thing is, Oryu, Orishiro-sama would be the one apologizing to you and, well, pretty much everyone else in the village here, considering what would end up happening. Well, then again, no. She doesn't even know what exactly happens after Rika's death anyway. So, ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
あいあい、任せられたったら。じゃあついでに神主さんにご挨拶でもしてこようかね。
No matter whether she rides or pushes her bicycle, Rika-chan's hands will be occupied. So I'm going to carry the watermelon. The sky is turning auburn in the sunset. The cool breeze feels good on my sandaled feet. The plastic bag I'm carrying contains the watermelon, and also some small bags of rock candy. If her mother finds them, she'll take them away, so we decided to eat them before we got to her home. We opened the bags and enjoyed the rock candy. Okay, so I know that's one of the fragments we need for another fragment, rock candy. Rika-chan isn't an exception. Whenever kids from our neighborhood come to our house for errands, Granny gives them some treats. Actually, that's a pretty common rule here in Hinamizawa. It's funny, but sometimes when parents aren't watching, siblings will fight over who gets to take the circular notice to the next house over. So these bags of rock candy are like tips for them. Of course, she doesn't normally give out this much. Usually it's just a little piece of it. Granny is being extra nice to Rika-chama. Correction, Granny is being nice to the queen.
僕だけこんなにいろいろお駄賃をもらうと他の人に悪い気がしますです。
Well, if it's any consolation, I'm sure the queen inside you is really happy for all this sugar intake.
別に気にすることないんじゃない？お駄賃は好意みたいなもんなんだもん。
Yeah, there's a thought. Hinamizawa syndrome likes sugar.
変に断るよりは子供らしくありがとうって言って笑顔を見せる方がよっぽどいいと思うけどね。
みーはお駄賃をよくもらいますですか？
昔はね。でもさすがにこの年になったらもらわなくなったな。今もらうとなんだか子供扱いされてるみたいでかえってカチンとくるかな。
みー、僕は子供扱いなのです。
いいじゃんいいじゃん。もらえるうちにもらっとけばいい。私くらいになれば欲しくてももらえなくなるんだからさ。
As we talked about ordinary things, I noticed Rika-chan seemed a little sad.
どうしたの？
僕はお買い物に行ってもよくお駄賃に飴をもらいますが、さとこは一緒に行ってももらえませんです。
I can think of so many reasons why. Not only Satoko, but everyone in the Hojo family is being treated poorly in Hinamizawa. And the Sonozaki family are the ones who instigated that. The 2 dam supporters have died in an accident already. But the malice against the Hojo family is still going. It's directed against Satoko and Satoshi, their children, and the aunt and uncle who are taking care of them. The big fight between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family at the explanatory meeting started all this. But that was the Hojo couple, and it shouldn't have anything to do with the children and their aunt and uncle. But the idea that the Hojo family are traitors evolved on its own. Therefore, anyone bearing the Hojo name is to be treated poorly. The aunt and uncle weren't dam supporters, so over time, the attacks towards them should have stopped. But they're rather odd, and they keep having trouble with their neighbors. They don't follow the community rules, they don't do their community duties, and they spray pesticide while their neighbors' laundry is still hanging outside. They often get into fights with the other villagers. They'd be hated even without the dam. Therefore, the Hojo family continues to be treated poorly. But none of that should have anything to do with Satoko and Satoshi. Satoko and Satoshi are often depressed at school. I tried to leave the conflict between the 2 families aside, but I wonder how they really feel about that. From their point of view, I'm just another member of the family that keeps harassing them.
せめて学校にはそんな雰囲気を持ち込ませたくない。だから私はそういう風に振る舞ってるつもりだよ。
それを学校の中だけでなく外にも広げるにはどうしたらいいのですか？
That'd be pretty difficult. The Hojo family made enemies of the 3 families. They were branded as traitors, and that's still considered the truth. It wouldn't mean anything if one person suggested an end to the hostilities just because the events around the dam are history now. On the contrary, that would just put them in the same position. Unfortunately for Satoko and Satoshi, the only thing they can do is to wait patiently until the issue withers away. All I can do for them is provide an oasis until that day comes.
では、サトコたちはいつまで耐え忍べばいいのですか？
わかんない。ダム戦争は数年に及んだ。その時に押された烙印を払拭するんだから、それと同じ年数はかかるかもしれないね。
それはつまり、サトコたちが大人になるまで誰にも許してもらえないということですか？サトコが子供のうちはずっと村中から冷たい目で見られていろということですか？
それはあまりにも辛いね。
Big understatement.
みー、僕たちはサトコやサトシの仲間なのですよね。
そうだよ。私にとってだって仲間だよ。
なら僕たちの仲間を救うために僕たちに何かできることはないのでしょうか？
私たちに何ができるんだろうね。
Even the Sonozaki family declares that the dam conflict is over, so the Hojo family are no longer outcasts. That won't solve the problem. It's not that simple. In the first place, Granny hates the Hojo family and won't suffer their name to be mentioned in their presence. It's not a matter of someone forgiving another. It's a matter of very complicated ties between the people in this village. It's absolutely terrifying to have them as your enemies. Everyone knows that very well, and that's why they maintain good relationships with their neighbors. However, if you make enemies out of them, you'll have to face the consequences. That's the unwritten law of the Japanese community. and the Sonozaki family is part of this unwritten law. Now that the Hojo family are outcasts, not even the Sonozaki family can overturn the situation.
ひなみ沢のことはひなみ沢の人間にはどうしようもないということなのでしょうか。
悲しいけどそういうこともあるかもしれない。もし里子を救う人が現れてくれるとしたら、それは村のしがらみにとらわれないそういう人なんだろうね。
Oh, how wrong you are.
でもそんな人村にはいない。
村の外から誰かが助けに来なければ救われないということですか？
Like Rika-chan says, would a knight in shining armor from the outside ever come here? Would that person bring in a new wind into this village that has been filled with stale air for hundreds of years? No way. That's just wishful thinking. Time will solve the problem someday. Until then, I have to be their ally. I can't think of anything else I can do for them. As Rika-chan and I crunched on our rock candy, we can only pray that people will forgive Satoko and her family sooner rather than later. Rika-chan gently broke the heavy silence.
きっと村の外からしがらみにとらわれない人がやってきます。
そうだね。ダム戦争も終わったんだから、また分譲地に外から人が引っ越してきてくれるといいね。近い年の転校生とか来れば楽しいだろうに。
来ます。きっと。そして彼と力を合わせて私たちは村の悪兵を打ち破るのです。それが私たちの未来を閉ざす3つの錠前に対する最初。
え？何それ？なんかの小説？
Well, technically, I guess you could be. Visual novel and all. Rika-chan says some odd things sometimes. When she talks that way, she seems so mature. I even start to doubt she's really younger than I am. The unreasonable antagonism towards the Hojo family. Will there really be someone from the outside who will shatter our old traditions? I wonder what stuff we'll also learn from the loudmouth while we're going through all this. You know, speaking of that outsider. I say that because, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut things off here. As interesting as everything I've learned so far here is, most of it is not exactly information I couldn't have already I either didn't already know or could have guessed before, based on previous knowledge. Although, perhaps the biggest revelation for me personally with all this is the role that Satoko apparently had in basically killing her own parents. And, well, as we saw in her one fragment, it seems to be because she was suffering from Hinamizawa syndrome at the time. That, to me, really explains a lot of stuff that's happened in the past chapters. But I gotta say, though, all things considered, what an absolutely horrible revelation to finally learn. Really can't help but feel bad for her. Even worse than I already have up until that point, which is really saying something. All things considered. I really don't know if I could have ended up screwing myself in some way by clicking this one tip, or this one fragment, excuse me, earlier. Like I don't know what exactly will happen. Like, say I managed to connect all the fragments together here, including this one, despite being shattered or something, or shattered. Would the fact that I shattered this thing to begin with just result in putting me on the path to like a bad ending for the main story, and would thus force me to redo all this again, make sure I get everything right from beginning to finish, and then repeat everything in order to advance the story to its proper conclusion? Or can I just safely ignore this one little thing here? I don't really know what to make of it so far. But I mean, I suppose I'll find out sooner or later what this will exactly entail for me. Unless someone decides to just go ahead and spill the beans for me here right before I find out the hard way, one way or the other, what exactly this will entail. This isn't me asking anyone to go out of their way to reveal anything to me if they don't want to. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't think I really want anyone to, because spoilers. So, yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see how things play out with this and hope for the best. Otherwise, I guess it really wouldn't be too bad if I had to redo all this. But at any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Higurashi When They Cry Kai, Chapter 8. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.